Hello, everyone, and welcome to Entertainment Weekly's What to Watch, the show where EW staff help you solve your viewing dilemmas. I'm your host, Gerrad Hall, and joining me as we still recover from the Undoing finale, our digital news writers Rosy, Cordero, and Marcus Jones, and associate editor Derek Lawrence. Hello to all of you. How are you?
Hello.
What's up?
There's nowhere in the world I'd rather be than here in my living room, quarantining, and of course, watching Netflix, which is great news for me because this week sees the premiere of Selena, the series. The series, which will be released in 2 different parts, follows the life of famed singer Selena Quintanilla as she and her family navigate her rise to stardom. Rosy, I could fall in love with the decision to make this series, but tell me, can we expect an accurate look into the highs and lows of Selena's career, or will fans be bitty bummed?
I was expecting that one.
Yeah.
Well, it's about as accurate as you're going to get because this is signed off on by the Quintanilla family. I think it's going to be a sweet, fun holiday watch, easy watch, and you will learn a lot of things about Selena you didn't know before.
This series, the first part anyway, the first 9 episodes, cover some of her earlier life, right?
Right. So the first 5 episodes, you are going to be like, this show should have been called The Quintanilla Family because it's really focused on who the family is. They're Mexican-American immigrants chasing the American dream. So we see a lot of Selena during her younger years. And about 5 on is when she becomes an adult and you start to see her as she becomes the superstar that she was.
Yeah. Okay. So then at what point does this first part of the show end?
Okay, so when we first start the series, she's a young girl, and we end in a really juicy part. I was really mad when it ended. It's as soon as her father Abraham discovers that she and bandmate Chris Perez are having a secret romance. So it gets really good at the end, so I can't wait for part 2.
Worth noting, of course, who is starring in this. It's Christian Serratos is playing Selena. Christian, a lot of you might know from The Walking Dead. I'm curious, how do you think she does here, and do you think this is going to be a performance that kind of takes her to the next level in her career?
I think she's already skyrocketing into the next level, just the notoriety of playing Selena, which is something that happened also to Jennifer Lopez. She said it in a video recently from Netflix. It was a career changer for her. I think she's up against something that's really tough because people love Selena so much that they have these expectations that she has to be the end-all, have-all Selena forever, and she's never going to be Selena. So I think that she does a great job. I'm hoping that the role gets juicier as we go into part 2.
Lots of people looking forward to this one, I know for sure. All right, thanks, Rosy.
Thank you.
Moving on, our favorite Housewives of Atlanta are returning for their 13th season this week, and just like everyone else in the country, their lives are dominated by current events. Production began mid-July and was recently paused due to a crew member contracting COVID-19. Drama is certainly still at the forefront for the ladies, but we also see them coping with the pandemic, the tragic loss of Breonna Taylor, and the Black Lives Matter protests. So Marcus, given all of the references to real life events, is this season the realest of the real for the Housewives we've ever seen for real?
Well, I mean, what's really interesting about this season, and hopefully this isn't like spoiling anything and Bravo won't get mad at me, but it does start immediately breaking the fourth wall. And so immediately you see the Housewives in confessionals in studio, which I think is very important because you don't capture the same magic seeing them like give their quips on Zoom. So it is in studio, but they're in studio basically addressing the pandemic and how they've handled shooting, and especially how they've been attending protests and sort of handling talking to Black Lives Matter with their kids, especially thinking of Candy. She has a 3-year-old Ace, and so she gets really into that.
Gotcha. What are some of the other big storylines that we can expect this season that fans are hungry for? Because we got that trailer, it gave us such a tease.
The season kind of focuses in on Cynthia, who is getting married, second marriage to Mike Hill, who's like a sportscaster. And she's in the beginning just sort of dealing with like, is this wedding going to happen during the pandemic? Kenya is recently separated, and the pandemic has kind of put a pause on her divorce a little bit. And we're seeing sort of navigating whether or not she's going to reconcile with her husband and sort of how they're handling him. Being a restaurateur, having to sort of deal with having a restaurant in New York during the pandemic and the stress that's added to their marriage. And then, of course, like save the best for last, Portia. She has been amazing, really leading the charge on protests, but also is embroiled in the scandal. I'm not sure if you saw the gossip, but she is apparently one of the 2 cast members who allegedly had some sort of hookup with the stripper that was at Cynthia's bachelorette party.
All right, guys. Well, we need to take a short break, but when we return, it's showtime. Somebody stop me. We'll be right back. Smoking. Welcome back, everyone. If you're like me, now that Thanksgiving is officially over, you've written off the rest of the year, right? Well, or you're essentially in low power mode until 2021 gets here. That's what I'm waiting for. But that's not the case in the world of premium cable networks such as Showtime, as this Sunday sees the return of brand new seasons of some of our favorite shows, as well as some premieres of new ones. First up, it's the return of Shameless, a show that has no shame, entering its final season as Showtime's longest running series. It's got lots of fans, and several friends of mine have been binge watching the entire series this year, waiting for this final season. So for the uninitiated, Derek, what's the big appeal here?
I mean, I just think there aren't characters like this anywhere else on television. I mean, how many doctors or lawyers or cops or rich people have we seen? And I mean, trust me, obviously there's plenty of fun to be watching those things, at various levels. So it's easy to get invested in them and kind of watch them struggle and root for them to kind of find some level of happiness and success, which their level of success is not going to be the same as many others, but we'll take the small victories for them as we've watched them for these 11 years.
Right. Yeah, not the same kind of achievements of the Johnson family on Blackish, for sure. As I mentioned, 10 seasons so far of the show, and a lot of loyal fans all those years. So what you've seen so far, what you know even, does the final season of Shameless give one of TV's most dysfunctional families the send-off it deserves?
I've seen just the first episode of the new season, but 11 years in, I feel comfortable in saying like it's still Shameless, which is a good thing. They were actually days away from starting filming on the final season when the shutdown started, because of COVID. Yeah. And what they then just threw out all the 7 or 8 scripts that they already had because they knew they had to start from scratch. I've had this debate with a lot of people, and even my dad, where he's one of the people that's like, I watch TV for escapism. Like, I'm not trying to watch all these COVID storylines, which I totally get, and I don't think it's for every show to address. But Shameless was one of the shows where I was actually very interested in seeing how they were going to tackle a lot of these things going on, just because it is a satire and they are known for their social commentary. And talking to John Wells, the showrunner, they're addressing, what this does to small business owners, what this does to people that are already struggling financially, how Black Lives Matter is going to factor in. Obviously this is predominantly a white cast and a white family, but the youngest Gallagher, Liam, is Black, and already in the previous season he was trying to discover what it meant to be Black. So like that, they're just going to further address that with that character and also the character Veronica. I think Shameless has the benefit of not needing some big end game. Like they don't have to solve some mystery. Like if the final shot of Shameless is just the Gallaghers like in their living room together like any other day, like I think that's more than satisfactory for the fans like me.
Fair enough. All right, moving on. I certainly don't object to Your Honor, which stars Bryan Cranston as a New Orleans judge who gets involved with a crime family after his son's involved in an accident. Derek, I imagine fans of the actor will be thrilled to see him return to the small screen in a starring role. And he told you he actually intentionally planned it to be a big break after Breaking Bad, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Bryan Cranston told me once he knew Breaking Bad was ending, he decided he'd stay away from TV for a certain amount of time. And he said he doesn't know why, but he picked 3 years as his number. Now, technically, that's about right because he did pop up on Sneaky Pete, the Amazon series, but he was kind of a creative on that, and he had a supporting role. So it's actually been 7 years since he's been front and center on a television show. It's kind of wild that it's actually been that long since Breaking Bad ended. But he said he felt like he needed a break from Walter White, and that fans also needed a break from Walter White, kind of in order to be able to accept him as whoever he was going to be next. So he's hoping people kind of can separate Walter White from Your Honors, Michael Desiato, despite this also being a man kind of stepping to the other side of the law to protect his family. So it's kind of easy to make that comparison, even if the shows are different.
Thank you, Rosy, Marcus, and Derek. Appreciate it as always. And thanks to all of you for watching. We'll see you next week on What to Watch.